welcome to a new episode of ETRetailCafe by ETRetail. So today we have with us Sourjyendu Medda, who is the founder and co-CEO of Dealshare. As you know, we are covering 100 retailers under this series and we are delving deep into their professional careers. Apart from, we are also focusing how they are building the companies they are working with currently. So Sourjyendu, welcome to ETRetailCafe, and tell me about yourself. What was the idea behind shifting from the service sector to becoming a founder on your own?
Yeah, I think thanks for the invitation and coming to your question. I think the biggest idea is the motive that we have started Dealshare with. I have, as you know, that I have worked with the retail and FMCG sector for years before starting up with my friends. So we started Dealshare in 2018. The big cause that was always on my mind, at least, was to solve for affordability of mass India. I belong to a middle income household, so I grew up in a middle income household, and we have seen how the middle India and the lower income households also, they struggle to solve for affordability. As we are, while the country is obviously growing in terms of economic growth, but there is still disparity of income, and for the masses it is very hard to make ends meet. And that is the main idea behind starting Dealshare, where we want to increase affordability of mass India, make their lives better. That's the social cause we are basically behind in this.
But you have worked with the biggest retail companies. If I say you were with Metro Cash and Carry, you were with Raymond's, you were with Citibank and Britannia, right? So were you not scared leaving such secure jobs and starting your own business? I mean, how was the feeling at that point of time?
Honestly, I was not scared, but people around me actually tried to scare me a lot. So I was working with Raymond's when I decided to start this company. And from my supervisors to my team members, everybody kept saying, so I have been doing in the corporate world also, I was growing fast, I was doing really well. And the first piece of advice is that, oh, why are you going? You're doing so well. And what will happen to your family? I have 2 kids and a family to basically earn for. And like everybody gave me statistics that, see, this is 0.01% would become successful, or and so on. So and it is not that you need to do it. You would definitely become a very high rising corporate. So I had a high rising corporate career. I think so your passion is what drives you. At the end of the day, while I had some around 15-16 years of corporate career when I decided to start, I was always at the back of my mind, I had this whole pressure on myself that I'm not doing what I really want to do and give to the society. And that is when I decided that it's important to move ahead and really do, because at that point of time, I thought that half my career is done. So half of my working life is only left. And if that half also I not utilize for what I want to do, it is not good.
And you have been always reclined toward the retail sector. What was the idea behind it? I mean, since your childhood, you wanted to be in the retail industry. How it happened by chance for you?
I belong to the trader community first. So very few, I'm a Bengali, but very few Bengalis belong to trade community. So my forefathers were traders, right? So in the blood, there is trading, definitely, trading and retailing. But at the same time, I think I was always passionate about the mass consumer goods industry, not retail in specific. I thought that a real difference can be made in people's lives if you are doing something really good on the mass consumer goods space. There you can do good in services, you can do in a lot of other things, but goods are what they consume the most from their earnings, right? So that is where I wanted to create a difference. I got experiences, very good experiences from mass consumer goods companies like Britannia and Raymond FMCG, which is now Raymond Consumer Care and also sold to Godrej very recently, and definitely Metro Cash and Carry, which was my 8 years of experience. While in Metro, I actually was taking care of the Kirana segment. So Kirana again is very close to, so I was selling to Kiranas. The business that I was heading was selling to Kiranas. So again, very close to the mass market. So good experiences, top-notch brands in retail and FMCG sector, which gave me the right experiences to actually get into starting Dealshare.
So what were those learnings from all these brands that you are actually applying to this, your own baby, which is Dealshare, and how it is helping you grow further?
So I think those 15 years of experience in these companies, in these organizations, actually gave me a lot of learning on how the business should be organized. So what is the right way of creating a large organization? how you create teams, how you basically become consumer-centric, understand consumer needs really deeply before. Otherwise, you cannot make a large company. So you have to basically go deeper into that. Those learnings are very important. And at the same time, however, what I also realized while working for these top brands is that mass India still has a lot of play which goes beyond the top brands, which is basically going direct to manufacturers. And only when you create this supply chain which is connecting the manufacturers directly to the end consumers and taking all the intermediates off, that is when you can create real savings for the end consumers. So those learnings of creating a good organization, going deeper into customer study, understanding how consumers behave and all of that is very well taken from those. At the same time, the opportunity also came out because I saw that there is an opportunity that these guys are not really focused on, and that is why the genesis of Dealshare happened.
So learnings actually helped you carve a path for yourself, but I'm very sure when you must have started, there must be some challenges which have come on the way. What were those challenges and how are you solving those challenges for yourself?
I think lots of challenges, not just some challenges. So when you start afresh, and especially when you leave a cushy job and you are just thrown into the market, and obviously we started without funding also at that time. So we started on our own, and then as we did well, we got a lot of investors also interested. So the first thing was to do all of it yourself. You don't have a team. It was only founders, and there was one employee when we started. And when you start, generally in the corporate world, you would start with a large plan, and then you will go presentation by presentation and so on. But when you start your own organization, you first say that whether I'm able to basically sell my product. That is the first thing. So you go in the market and sell your product first to get yourself the proof point that yes, there is a market that you are trying to create. So initial 3 months, we did all the selling ourselves. I think we met around 1,000 customers of this segment to understand what is still the white space where we can get into. We had thesis in our mind. Even before starting, we did a lot of research. But then after starting, we said that we will go in the market. We are the sales guys. We are the marketing guys. We are everything. So we are the procurement guys and all of it, right? So that is the first challenge to tackle. First,
all the hats.
All the hats on you, and basically first prove that yes, there is a business. Because if you don't prove, people will not follow. Now, once you prove that, there are people who would join as employees, there are people who would like to invest into the business, and so on. Now, as you run the business and you grow the business, there are all kinds of challenges at each stage. So each growth stage has its own challenge. And again, there are market challenges that also come in the way like we are seeing today. So all of those challenges are definitely.
So what is the biggest challenge for you nowadays and how are you solving that?
I think the biggest challenge, so essentially when you are at the initial stage of organization creation, everything is in your control. So there is a thesis in your mind and you are yourself doing it, or there is a very small team who does it, and the thesis is well implemented and the control is very strong, right? Now we are a 1,000+ member organization. Everybody has the right intent for the organization. Everybody wants to work hard, but everybody has his or her own mind also. Now, my biggest challenge is that there is a particular thesis with which there is a differentiating opportunity that we are going behind. We bring talent from across the industry, people from very good background. So if you look at Dealshare talent, it is like industry best in the retail sector and also in the tech sector. They also have their own learnings over years. Now, how do I basically bring everybody on the same platform and channelize the energies for that greater cause that we want to build is the biggest challenge that I face.
So what are the values that you are actually imbibing in the employees that is helping you build Dealshare for the future?
I think the most important value is to think about the TG, the target group that we are talking about. So you can build different businesses in different target groups and different product categories. Now, Dealshare is a mix of a particular target group and a particular product category that we are operating in. So empathy for that customer, for that consumer, for the kind of consumption that they are basically having, which is the core of our business, is extremely important. And how does everyone breathe that consumer and think about that consumer day in and day out is very important. At the same time, I think also very important to have the social cause in mind, because I believe that larger organizations can be created only when there is a greater social cause behind the organization, rather than saying that I'm trying to create one more organization, I will get to a valuation, I will sell that company. I don't think that works. All these are basically outcomes of creating a large organization through a large social cause. So that is what I'm trying to inculcate in the whole team.
So you have been in the industry from such a long time. You must have seen the consumer behavior changing. I mean, when you are targeting tier 2 and beyond cities, the consumer there is evolving now. So what sort of changes have you seen when you started your career vis-a-vis now? And how do you think it is going to shape up in the future?
I think India is slow in terms of getting organized as far as retail consumption is concerned, but organization of or the retail sector getting organized is going to happen. It has its own way of happening, maybe 0.1, 0.2, 1%. COVID comes in, a little more happens and all of that, right? Some big company invests a lot of, like Amazon invests in the sector, then obviously some organization will happen and so on. But definitely retail is getting organized and it will keep on getting more and more organized with time. The other changes that I have seen is that the consumer is more now health-centric, hygiene-centric. They don't want to purchase loose. They feel that packaged goods is now whether it is a top brand or not doesn't matter, but packaged and some labeling needs to be there. So all those are good changes that are happening. And generally that mindset that if it is packaged, it would be costlier has to go off, and that is going off also from their minds. But more focus on basically the basic health hygiene and getting into packaged good consumption is happening, definitely. One. Second, I think bit by bit online adoption is happening, but it is still slow. So still offline is the large sector, and like we discussed in an earlier format also, that it is going to be a combination of offline and online for quite some time in India.
This is the reason why you are becoming an omnichannel brand, right? So omnichannel, how does it help you? How is technology actually helping you build the brand Dealshare, and how are you marrying it at each and every step when you grow?
So technology actually has two very important parts in this organization. One is the whole supply chain technology, because without a robust supply chain technology, whether it is online, offline or O2O, you cannot build it, right? So that's the basically base fundamental of creating a retail organization, because there are so many moving parts. You have, let's say, so many warehouses, there are delivery partners, there is a supplier base that is coming in, and then when you open stores, you also have to integrate the stores. So that's one big part. A lot of our investment goes into creating a robust supply chain technology, and I think every retail organization which is sizable in nature has to invest in that. The other part which is very important for our businesses, especially on the online side, is the artificial intelligence and machine learning that you deploy to get personalized offerings for consumers, to understand the consumer needs and go sharper in targeting. So the whole consumer targeting also through AI, ML and other target marketing techniques is also another important area of investment.
So technology is actually gaining a lot of momentum these days. What if technology replaces your job someday? What will you do?
I think there are a lot of problems to solve in the world, right? So one is obviously where we are working. We are trying to solve for this consumption basket, and eventually I think if you look at health sector, there is a lot. Whether it is a commodity, and we say roti, kapda, makan, definitely, and then obviously bimari. So roti, kapda, makan, bimari are a lot of big areas where you need to solve for people. I will get to the next problem if basically this one is taken care by technology. But I think also not just that. See, technology is a big enabler, but you will still need people to think how to deploy technology in solving large problems. So every sector will need people to think innovatively and keep deploying technology for the solutioning.
So technology we have discussed. One more thing I want to know from you, Sourjyendu, there are many brands which are actually working towards the tier 2 and building tier 2 and tier 3 e-commerce space. So how do you think Dealshare is different from amongst all of them?
I think at the core of their thinking is also same. So if you are building for mass market, whether it is Dealshare or other companies that you're talking about, they all want to basically bring more savings to the consumers, make their lives better so that they can purchase more and afford more, right? The big difference obviously is basically the category that we have chosen. We are going into the base categories of consumption, which is your grocery, your FMCG and other household general merchandise. That comprises of around 70-80% of a mass India consumption. Other companies which I can think of in this sector, they are primarily focused on the discretionary spends like fashion, electronics and all of that. Not to say that we will not go there, but our primary focus is on first the main consumption basket. So I think
basic needs.
Basic needs, yeah.
Okay. So house of brands or maybe launching the private labels is the next big trend which we are seeing in the e-commerce space. How are you placed in this category that ways?
Having worked with a lot of retailers and also brands, I think what I have realized is that private labels actually have a higher chance to succeed when you go deeper into the mass market. So for people with higher income, I think brands or known brands matter a lot. So when I would purchase or my family would purchase, I would say that basically this is the brand I want in my house and this has to come. But then when mass market thinks, they think of first savings. Now, if you so what is a brand? What is a private label? A private label is essentially a high quality product, but not a well-known brand. Yeah. Now, that is the thesis of creating private labels. Now, we have started creating private labels for the last 1 year now. Already more than 10% of our business is coming out of private labels. I think for our kind of model, private labels will have much more significance than retailers who are targeting SEC A population. For SEC B, C, I think private labels has a larger play. And I believe that it is only going to basically become a larger and larger part in our business.
So you are going to bet bigger on the private label play that ways?
We have just announced additional investments on the private label portfolio. It's already in the news. So I think that's a big play that we will have.
So what else can we expect from your kitty for Dealshare going ahead? And how are you building Dealshare for the future consumers, maybe as they grow up and they continue sticking to Dealshare that ways?
I think the two big areas, at least, which I can think of where the whole team is focused on today as additions to the current business are one, the whole physical retail network and making it omni-channel. So whether it is an online experience or offline experience, it is a seamless experience for the consumer. So that's a big focus that we will be doing. And second is now getting better into savings by launching more private labels, going direct to more and more SMEs. So that's the thesis that we started with, where we started integrating SMEs in this essential space. And we have added private labels. So a larger and larger focus will continue to be there. I think the amalgamation of these two, along with the deployment of technology on target marketing, are the three big things that we'll focus on.
That's really nice. So before we wrap up, Sourjyendu, we would love to have a rapid chat with you where I'm going to ask you questions back to back, 5 questions at you rather, back to back, and you have to answer them without thinking, right? So tell me your favorite business book and what have you learned from that book?
I think The Art of War is my favorite book. And I'll talk about one big learning, and obviously not taking much time. So you don't get into a battle if it is not to be won by you. So you get into battles or wars which you think that you can win, and you strategize before getting into that.
One retailer or the retail brand that you admire and why?
I think Amazon is classic. So the way they are, and because of their customer centricity, their deployment of technology at each leg of the customer angle. So I think that's fantastic.
You are into the online business. Where do you shop for yourself, online or offline?
Both. I think categories where I have to basically look, feel, and then choose. Like shoes, I don't buy online. So grocery, yes, completely online because I know what to buy. And so wherever I'm sure what I have to buy and I don't have to choose and then purchase, there I do online. But wherever there is some experience needed, I would go and buy offline.
If not in retail sector, what you would have been doing?
I would have been a lawyer, I think. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay, so one thing that you want people to learn from you as a retailer?
The only thing that I would like to tell everybody is that the retailer's life depends on the consumers and their needs. So whatever time you can spend with the consumers, understanding their needs and developing solutions for that, that is well spent. So maximize your time with the consumers and understand the consumers as much as possible.
One life-changing incident that took place in your life and it changed your life forever?
Many, but I think starting Dealshare is itself a life-changing, is one of the biggest life-changing moments.
It was a pleasure having you, Sourjyendu, on our show, and it was a very insightful chat, knowing about the brand, how you're building it, and how you are applying your learnings from the previous brands to your company, Dealshare. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching this episode of ET Retail Cafe. Hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. See you next week with a new retailer, a new story, and a new episode. Till then, bye.